The Chicago Bears have a new weapon for Caleb Williams. They have signed receiver Olamide Zaccheaus to a one-year contract. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears news update video, which I'll be doing anytime the Chicago Bears news going on. And the majority of the Bears free agency moves have already happened. We don't have that much money left to spend because we've been spending a lot of it to build up the trenches, which I loved a lot. Okay, I love that Ryan Poles went out to get some of the best players on the marketplace on both the offensive and the defensive line, but it's time to add to the skill position group, and Ryan Poles did that by signing Olamide Zaccheaus to a one-year contract. And I'm actually a big fan of this guy's game. I wanted the Bears to go after him a couple seasons ago. If you guys remember one of the videos I made, I think in 2023 offseason, I wanted the Bears to go after him because I thought he was a speedster that could stretch the field and be a good receiver 3 for Justin Fields at the time. Well, now he's going to be a receiver number 3, probably for Caleb Williams if he does win that receiver number 3 job. And that's the thing, guys. Like, this is going to be a very small contract, I'm assuming, probably a couple $1 million. So, you know, at the very worst, he could be receiver number 5 or 6, just be fantastic depth. But at the very best, I think he could challenge to be the receiver number 3 on this roster and get a good amount of playing time on this Bears offense. The Bears had to make some type of move at the receiver spot because we lack the depth in this rotation. We lost Keenan Allen, I'm assuming, to free agency. He's still out there as a free agent, but I don't think we're signing Keenan Allen back. So we currently only have DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Tyler Scott, maybe a couple other, you know, practice squad level guys, but we don't really have that, you know, locked in receiver number 3 yet on this team. But I think Zaccheaus could be that guy if he does well in training camp and wins that job in the preseason as well. And he's obviously not like a superstar, a very flashy name like a Keenan Allen was, but you don't really need a star receiver 3 to win a Super Bowl. You need 2 really good ones, and the Bears do have 2 really good ones in DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, but you don't really need a star receiver number 3. You need a guy that's scrappy, that can block, that can stretch the field, and Zaccheaus can be that, okay? And he's not going to complain about a lack of targets either because he's not, you know, that star option, okay? He's a guy that's a comfortable role player. He's, you know, comfortable in his role, and he's going to provide a lot of value to the Chicago Bears, just like he provided a lot of value to the Commanders last year, a team that went to the playoffs. So a big fan of this move. Let's talk more about what Zaccheaus is going to be bringing to the Chicago Bears. So Olamide Zaccheaus is very small. He's only 5'8", weighs about 188 pounds, but he plays a lot bigger than that size. He can actually block very, very well and take a big hit in the middle of the field. And if you look at his athletic testing, pretty solid, okay, pretty fast. He can stretch the field, 4.49. You know, good, not elite, but pretty good, and pretty good testing all around. Otherwise, it's just that his height and his weight kind of brought down his athletic testing scores, RAS score. But if you look at his production in the NFL, so he started out his career with the Atlanta Falcons. He didn't really do that much in his rookie year, but the following year had 274 receiving yards. In 2021, he broke out kind of, had 406 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. 2022, he had 533 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. And then he went to the Philadelphia Eagles in 2023 and was not used there as much as he was in Atlanta, so only had 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. But then last year with the Commanders, he had a very solid season. He had 506 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns as well. And these are really good stats for a complimentary receiver. Sure, he's not a number 1 or number 2 option. He's never going to be that. But as the receiver number 3, receiver number 4 on various football teams, especially a playoff team like the Commanders last year, he produced big time for that team. He made a bunch of big time catches. And if you look at his blocking, guys, he can block his ass off. I mean, there's some clips going on social media right now, which I can't post, unfortunately, due to copyright, but there's a bunch of examples of him blocking his ass off and going up against bigger guys and, you know, really holding his own. And Ben Johnson wanted somebody that could block on this offense. Olamide Zaccheaus can block very, very well, and he can stretch the field as well. I know his 40-yard dash time was 4.49, so good but not elite. But in terms of like deep route running, he is one of the better deep route runners, I would say, in the NFL. Like, he's made a bunch of big time catches down the field. So if Caleb can work on that deep accuracy a little bit more and hit Zaccheaus, I mean, there could be a bunch of 30, 40, 50 plus yard touchdowns going to Olamide Zaccheaus. And, you know, his small size is a little bit of a concern. He is pretty tiny compared to other NFL players, but he has shown the ability to take a big hit and still hang on to the football. So I think in terms of his hands, like those are pretty reliable. His route running is pretty good. His blocking is very good. The speed is solid. And I think Ben Johnson is going to figure out a lot of creative and innovative ways to use him in this offense. I mean, Ben Johnson is getting an embarrassment of riches between having DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, hopefully a running back added via the NFL draft. You still got DeAndre Swift and Roshan Johnson. And then, adding Zaccheaus as a depth guy, I think that's a very solid move for the Chicago Bears. I mean, there's so many ways in which he can be used in the middle of the field, as a blocker on screen plays, maybe down the field on vertical routes. Like, I think Zaccheaus is going to be a big part of this offense. Maybe have, 400, 500 yards for the Chicago Bears like he did for the Atlanta Falcons and for the Washington Commanders. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this move down below in the comments section. I like this move a lot better than just keeping Tyler Scott at receiver number 3, which, Scott could fight for that role too. Maybe Scott has a bounce back year 3, but Tyler Scott has been very bad through 2 seasons. He was barely used last year, by our last regime. So we'll see what Ben Johnson thinks of him. But the Bears needed to add somebody, to be a complimentary depth receiver. And Zaccheaus can be that. Okay, he has the production to be a number 3. He has the experience, the skill set, I would say, for what Ben Johnson is looking for in this offense. And again, guys, like this receiver number 3 spot did not have to be a superstar. Okay, it would have been nice if Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and DJ Moore worked out together, but at some point, like, you can't give targets to everybody. And I kind of wonder if that was in Caleb's head, that he needs to spread the ball out to everybody, and that's why sometimes he held onto the football a little bit too long, because he's trying to give the ball to everybody at once. That's a real thing in football. Like, sometimes stars have egos. They need the football. And, thankfully, Zaccheaus is not that type of player. Okay, he's a complimentary role player, and he's going to play that role very well, I hope, for the Chicago Bears. I actually like that we're using the money that we use on Keenan Allen instead on the offensive line to build up the trenches, because football is won and lost in the trenches. If you look at the Eagles, they had 2 really good receivers, but besides that, they had a dominant offensive line, dominant defensive line, and that's how you should be building your football teams to be competing in the NFL in the year of 2025. So leave your comments down below, guys. What do you guys think about the signing? There's going to be more signings coming in the couple days, probably smaller signings like this, which are going to be, maybe a backup tackle, a backup safety, other backups on this roster. But for the majority, our free agency spending is done. We just got to get some depth guys and also add to the roster with best player available in the NFL draft, which there's going to be a lot of draft videos coming soon on my channel as well. So be on the lookout for those. But leave your comments down below, guys. As always, bear down.